Starting with the great name of Allah, who's the most beneficent and the most merciful. Today we will discuss chapter number 4, that is biochemistry. The word biochemistry is basically derived from your two words. Number one is bio, and the second is your chemistry. Bio means life. So biochemistry is a branch of chemistry that deals with the study of chemical and physical processes that happens your inside living system. And these will basically involve the chemical compounds such as carbohydrates and vitamins, protein, lipids, and nucleic acid. It basically focuses on what is happening inside our cell and looks at how your cell communicate with each other. And biochemistry means life chemistry. It involves the processes that take place in your living organisms. Biochemistry also involves the chemical compounds such as carbohydrates, vitamin, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acid. And here we will discuss some of the biomolecules in this chapter. Your first biomolecule we will discuss is carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are naturally occurring organic compound and are important component of our food. Carbohydrates are abundant biomolecule on the earth. They are commonly known as sugars because they have the sweet taste. And you can say that carbohydrates are the polyhydroxyl compound. They, at the one side, they are attached with the your hydroxy group with the long chain of carbon. And there are two types of your basically your carbohydrates. Number one is your aldehyde, aldoses, and number two is your ketoses. Those carbohydrates which contain aldehyde as a functional group are termed as aldoses, and on the other hand, those carbohydrates which contain ketone as a functional group are termed as your ketoses. Majority of the carbohydrates are sweet in taste. ये मीठे होते हैं, इसी वजह से जो है इनको sugar कहा गया है. And the carbohydrate also have a property to recreate the polarized plane, polarized plane light. On the basis of the hydrolysis, carbohydrates are further divided into subtypes. Number one is your monosaccharide. Monosaccharides are mono. The word mono is derived from Greek word that means your one. They are called as simple sugars, and they are termed as simple sugars because on the hydrolysis they basically cannot be further simplified. The monosaccharides contain 3 to 10 carbons atom and subdivided into the trioses, tetroses, pentoses, hexoses on basically depend upon the carbon atom present in the your monosaccharide. Here are some examples of the monosaccharides are mentioned: glucose, fructose, and sucroses. The second type of your carbohydrate is oligosaccharide. Oligosaccharide basically those carbohydrates which produce few monosaccharides. Oligo means few. 2 to 10 monosaccharides on hydrolysis, and those are oligosaccharides which contain 2 monosaccharides are called as your disaccharides, and those which contain 3 are termed as your disaccharides. Here you can see that raffinose is a type of oligosaccharide that contain 3 monosaccharide: galactose, glucose, and fructose. Number 3 is your polysaccharide. Poly from Greek word that means many. Those carbohydrates produce more than 10 monosaccharides on hydrolysis. These are called as polymeric carbohydrate. In these carbohydrates, monosaccharides are connected by the glycosidic linkage. And the examples of polysaccharide carbohydrate is starch, cellulose, and glycogen. Cellulose is found in the cell walls. Starch is plant origin, and glycogen is your animal origin. Okay, second biomolecule, that is your protein. The word protein is basically derived from the Greek word proteos, means first. These are the nitrogenous macromolecules found in all the cells of the living organism. A protein are composed of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and very rarely they are composed of sulfur and phosphorus. And protein, you can define the protein as the polymer of many monomers. Basically ये अमाइनो एसिड से मिलके बने हुए होते हैं, बहुत सारे मोनोमर्स मिलकर जो है वो एक लॉन्ग चेन बनाते हैं जिसे हम प्रोटीन कहते हैं. अमाइनो एसिड्स जो है वो उनके बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक होते हैं. अमाइनो एसिड के स्ट्रक्चर में 4 चीजें होती हैं. एक सिंगल कार्बन इज कनेक्टेड विद अ कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड, एंड अमाइनो ग्रुप, एंड अल्काइल ग्रुप आर, एंड सिंगल हाइड्रोजन. those protein molecules which are formed with the help of two amino acid that are termed as dipeptide, and a protein molecule is formed with three your amino acid are termed as your tripeptide. Okay, third biomolecule that are discussed that is discussed in your this chapter, that is your lipid. Lipid are a group of natural occurring heterogeneous organic compounds in which they include fat, oil, and waxes, and they are insoluble in water, means they are hydrophobic, water repellent, but easily soluble in low regions, and your generally lipids are composed of elements like carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, but there are some lipid which contain nitrogen and phosphorus too. Lipid are the building block of your cells, and lipids are composed of the monomers, that is your fatty acid. Fatty acids are building components of your lipid. They are carboxylic acid with a long chain of carbon atom. Either it can be saturated fatty acid और unsaturated fatty acid. Fatty acid का structure यहाँ पे show किया गया है कि आप देख सकते हैं कि एक carboxylic group जो है वो एक long chain of hydrocarbon के साथ attach है. Saturated fatty acid जो है वो that contain no double bond, and your unsaturated fatty acid contain double bond. Okay, your last and very important biomolecule, that is your nucleic acid. Nucleic acid, the name nucleic acid implies that they are generally occur in the nuclei of the cell, but some of the nucleic acid are also present in the cytoplasm, and they are very important because biomolecules, because they store and transmit hereditary information from parent to children. They contain elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, really phosphorus. Your nucleic acid basically you can define as simply the macromolecules which are formed by polymerization of nucleotides monomers. न्यूक्लियोटाइड, बहुत सारे न्यूक्लियोटाइड जो है वो मिलकर आपका न्यूक्लिक एसिड बनाते हैं. ईच न्यूक्लियोटाइड इज कंपोज ऑफ 3 पार्ट, that is pentose sugar, phosphate group, and nitrogenous bases. There are basically 4 nitrogenous bases: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosines. Types of nucleic acid, there are 2 types of nucleic acid. They're shown in this picture: DNA and RNA. And DNA जो है वो आपका permanent storage site for the genetic information है, or that is also known as genetic code for the life. And your DNA is double-stranded, double helix, and your the difference between DNA and RNA is that DNA is your double helix and RNA is your single-stranded RNA, and they contain bases like adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, and on the other hand, your RNA contain uracil instead of your thymine, and basically your RNA is involved in the production of your protein. Importance of nucleic acid is that it's the most vital material of cell functioning, and it store the genetic information, and it transfer hereditary character from one generation to another generation. Nucleic acids serve as a source of energy in the form of ATP. Okay, your last biomolecule is vitamin. Vitamin. Hopkins discovered in 1920 that there are other nutrients required for the optimal development in addition to carbohydrate, protein, and lipids. Hopkins एक scientist थे, उसने 1920 में कहा कि कार्बोहाइड्रेट, प्रोटीन और लिपिड के अलावा जो है वो कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जो आपको ग्रोथ के लिए चाहिए होती हैं. These compounds are these compounds are required in the modest amount and necessary in small quantities for the normal health growth, and in higher forms for the animal life. And basically the vitamins जो है वो आपके they are essential for the life. There are 2 types of your vitamins: water soluble and fat soluble. Fat soluble vitamins are those vitamins which are soluble in fats and organic solvents, and your water soluble vitamins are those vitamins that are basically soluble in water. And here are the examples of fat soluble vitamins and water soluble vitamins. Some deficiencies that are related to your vitamins that mostly occur because of the deficient when we don't take the proper amount of your vitamin, that leads to your deficiency or disorders. Here a lot of deficiencies and disorders are mentioned. Your number one is विटामिन ए. विटामिन ए जो है वो आपकी नाइट ब्लाइंडनेस कॉज करता है. विटामिन बी जो है वो आपकी बेरी बेरी कॉज करता है. सी दैट लीड्स टू योर स्कर्वी. विटामिन डी इज योर लीड्स रिकेट्स. कैल्शियम बोन और तो डिके है. उसका रीजन, उसकी डेफिशिएंसी ये है कि अगर आप कैल्शियम प्रॉपर नहीं लेंगे तो जो है वो आपके दांत और आपकी हड्डियां वीक होना शुरू हो जाएंगी और वो टूटना शुरू हो जाएंगी. आयोडीन जो है वो उससे जो है वाइटर होता है. iron, and because of deficiency of iron, that leads to your anemia, deficiency of your blood. और विटामिन के जो है वो आपकी ब्लड क्लॉटिंग फैक्टर है, और इसकी वजह से अगर आपकी डेफिशिएंसी हो जाएगी तो आपको जो है वो डिजीज होगी आपकी एक के आपको जो है वो ब्लड जो है वो आपका क्लॉट नहीं होगा. दैट्स ऑल फॉर द टुडे. होप यू विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस. ओके, थैंक यू.